welcome to my channel. This is going to be a brief overview of my recent trip to Philadelphia. I know in the past I said I don't drink on this channel. I'm making an exception today because I've had a week. But I wanted to make sure that I put out this video before I put out the numerous pieces of travel content coming your way. At the end of September this year, I went on a road trip to the East Coast. My destination was Philadelphia. On the way there and on the way back, I stopped and had meals with some friends, both old and new, and I had a great time with them all. This video is going to be sort of a recap, a quick recap of the whole trip and some things that you might want to know as you're watching the content that I'm putting out in relation to this. This is just going to be a really quick, brief overview about some things that happened on the trip that aren't mentioned in any of the content, and also to explain a little bit of what you're going to see. First of all, on day one, I dropped my camera on the sidewalk outside of the terminal market. I thought that it was fine because it kept shooting content for me. I've got a load of it. However, okay, so I probably broke the gyroscope inside that was supposed to help with the stability. And I also probably broke something in one of the lens that came with the camera. Because when I was going through the footage, I could hear it grinding as I was zooming in and out on things. So that's not great. And that's why I always get Geek Squad protection, especially on my expensive electronics. In any case, the footage is usable. It's just not going to be sort of the vision I had for what I was going to create out of it. So I'm going to work with the challenge and hopefully bring you some interesting content from it. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about my philosophy when I travel, because I don't travel, I don't think, like most other people. My philosophy on traveling is not so much about being a tourist as it is about immersing myself into a culture. And so that's why I always favor Airbnbs since they've been available. And I also don't really like doing touristy stuff. So this trip had originally been planned for New York. That was too expensive, and there were other personal reasons why I ended up not going there. And then I kept moving back a little bit to New Jersey to travel to New York, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to spend so much time on a train every day. And so I chose Philadelphia. And as I was doing research on things to do in Philadelphia, because I love to research places before I go to them, I realized I was going to have to do touristy stuff. Can't go to Philadelphia and not have a tour of the birthplace of the Constitution of the United States. Luckily, I went at the end of a tourist season, which I prefer to do because I am not very excited about being in huge crowds of people. And so I was lucky with my timing on this trip. It also, when you stay in Airbnbs, for the most part, it gives you a really good feeling of neighborhoods and people. And it feels more comfortable for me to be in an Airbnb because I do like to cook a lot of my own food from local markets, and you really can't do that in hotels. I've traveled a lot in the past, all over the United States, Canada, Egypt, Germany, Amsterdam. So I have a lot of experience in museums, and so on this trip, I opted to skip some museums, like art museums. Scratch that. Modern art museums. I did go to a contemporary art museum, which there will be footage of. I also didn't want to go to like natural science museums because I've been to loads of them. I didn't want to go to like the Jewish History Museum because I'd been to the one in Germany, and I don't know that you're going to do any better with a Jewish History Museum than one in Germany. And so on this trip, I was really focusing on things I love, but just are a little offbeat. So some of the things I went to was a place called Arch Nemesis Gallery, which had some great art, and you will be seeing some of that. I also went to the Mutter Museum, which is the birthplace of American medicine. I tried a couple at restaurants. I didn't eat out as much as I probably should have, but I did go and do the Pat versus Geno's experience, where you try and see which one has the best Philly cheesesteak. And you're gonna have to watch one of my videos on that to see which one I thought was the best. So anyway, I have a lot of experience traveling, and I didn't want to do typical stuff. Also because when I was looking up stuff on YouTube about Philadelphia and traveling there, I either got stuff in Philadelphia that was really undesirable to look at as far as content I felt was exploitative and things like that. And so I wanted to also shoot content to override that a bit. So there will be a lot of like walking in neighborhoods, hopefully. So you can see other parts of Philadelphia. But then the other stuff I came across was things to do in Philadelphia for a day. And I'm here to tell you, you need more than a day. I was there for 4 days and I could have used 2 more. I was very rushed. I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do. You just need more time. So I didn't want to do like the typical stuff to do in a day. I wanted to explore. And I went to the Chemical History Museum, where I learned a lot about science that I had not seen in other museums, and a whole special display on dyes that you use for coloring clothing, which is really interesting. And I'm hoping to do a whole video on what I saw there. So the first video that's gonna come out is my first on the road video. Some of the content was shot with my phone, so it's a little better, especially the driving stuff. So it will be my drive from Minneapolis to Pittsburgh. From Minneapolis to my friend Frank's house in Philadelphia. I wasn't really good at taking pictures with my friends. I was so into like having conversations with them that it was almost, well, it was an afterthought because it didn't really happen other than 2 key moments. And one of those moments was for my friend Danielle, who wanted a picture of me with one of our mutual friends. In the future, when I travel I will probably be better at that. I packed a cooler for the road so that when I was getting gas, I could make myself like a sandwich wrap, and that was my meals on the way there and back. I also brought some staples, which I think I mentioned in one of the videos, from my spice cabinet, so that I had things to use for cooking to decrease the amount of stuff I would have to purchase. I've taken a lot of trips to like Canada, and then I've had to buy a bunch of staples there. And so in the future, I'm trying to reduce having to do that, because then I just end up with a cupboard full of duplicates. One of the things that I didn't do that I kind of wanted to do when I was there was go to the state penitentiary. They also had the haunted Halloween there already, and I didn't get to do that. One of the places that I really wish I could have gone to that I just didn't have any time for was the Edgar Allan Poe Historical Museum. So that's gonna have to be on my list for next time. One of the reasons I didn't have a lot of time was because I had a difficulty understanding the transit system in Philadelphia. Because usually when I travel, I also like to park my car and use transit, because that gives me the feeling of living in an area. But I found their extensive public transportation system to be so confusing that I couldn't even figure out what kind of pass I wanted. And also I love walking. And so I ended up walking about 10 miles a day, which really eats up time. There was only one day that I decided to use public transit, and that was on Sunday that I was there, and it was to get from downtown to the Contemporary Art Museum, and then from there to the Terminal Market. And that was only because I came across a surprise parade for like Polish History Month, and opted to shoot that whole parade. That will probably be on the channel too, depending on how the video actually turned out, because like I said, I dropped my camera. And so there's some sort of there's a little bit of an issue with a lot of my raw footage. Overall, the trip was great. The only thing I would probably do differently was that first day where I drove from Minneapolis to Pittsburgh, which was a 15-hour drive. That probably wasn't a super good idea. I would not do that again. And I don't recommend it unless, you're a road warrior. And the only reason I really did it is because one of my new favorite YouTubers, she did a drive from, I believe it was Los Angeles to Texas, and she did it all like straight in one shot on the way back. And it was a little bit longer than mine, but when she got done, she said that she had also done things like that in her youth, and she was giving it a try, and she thought that she probably wouldn't do it again. And so I thought, that's a challenge. And so I wanted to see if I could do it, because she and I are basically the same age, I think. And so it was kind of like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. I stayed awake. It was fine. I was in a real bad mood when I got to the hotel. But that's to be expected. In any case, this is sort of a preview of an onslaught of travel content that's going to be coming out on this channel for the rest of the year. I do plan on maybe sticking some food ones in there. I kind of want to make this chocolate bear claw recipe that's my grandma's, that I got from one of those high school reunion cookbooks that is so popular in small town Midwest during like big celebrations, like 100 years of graduates and things like that. And so there's going to be something, and it's the holidays. So there's going to be some food, hopefully. But please subscribe and please comment on stuff and tell me what I could have done differently. Tell me about your trips, either to Philadelphia or anywhere. I love traveling. It's something I don't get to do as much anymore, because I do a lot of driving for work. And honestly, people thought I was crazy for taking the trip. I think I drove, well, it was over 3,500 miles round trip. So I hope you'll enjoy my upcoming content. One should be posted right after this one, and it's going to be the first day on the road traveling. Other ones that are going to come out are a recap of each of my days, and then those will be broken down into other videos, like an entire video on the Franklin Institute, because they had this great exhibit where you could walk through a human heart, and then I got to record a heart dissection, which you'll see a clip in of full day one, which hopefully will come out soon. There's going to be a lot of stuff, so make sure you keep checking back. I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to finish my drink. It's whiskey, in case anybody was curious. Thanks for stopping by and making it this far. Have a wonderful day or evening.